Top Dog says go down to the laser. So we're going down to the laser. And I've been cutting ideas for the Pontiac console. So I've got a bunch of this plywood, so that's what I've been using. So I've got some score marks showing some borders, you know, of where I can't put anything. This is where the old lock used to be. Well, that's flat underneath it, so I can't really put anything there. That's the outer rim of the drink holder, and this is the phone slots. We'll explain later how we're envisioning these working, but let me close the laser down, and you can see just how nicely that cuts stuff. So let's go up and take a look. Here is the concept. So cup holders, although they are thinking about adding those little things like GM does, those little rubber things, but you know, that's a separate project. But the concept is, you know, here's the front of the console where the lock used to be, and here's the back where the hinge used to be. We'll have a power port and some USBs for use by rear passengers or anything like that. So see, it replaces this. And of course it'll be acrylic, 3 layers. There's a lot more going to it, but this is just a sizing concept. And then the idea here is there will be a wall here and back here so that the phone can't go anywhere, but then you can reach in, grab your cable, plug it in. We'll set one of them up to be the Android Auto cable, so it'll charge a phone and do the Android Auto. The other one will just charge a phone. Then we'll also have some for charging a phone back here as well. So yeah, the concept being, you know, you reach down in there, which is why it's so wide. You pull your cable up, you plug it in your phone, you drop your phone in. We originally looked at doing something a little fancier underneath and locating something, and you know what? Every couple years the phones change, so I don't know that that's a good idea. This leaves us the most flexibility. Also, I'm hoping between the area where the 2 cup holders are, I can mount a well, something similar to this with 2 USBs on it that we can use for doing some power distribution, so that over time these cables do wear out. And it's nice to be able to replace them easily without pulling the whole freaking car apart.
So it would plug in.
Yeah, it'd plug in down in here somewhere. Right, yeah, we'll buy those little 18-inch braided ones. And yeah, so that's the concept. So a couple of these guys, the 2 phone slots, power port, and USB slot for expansion. Yeah, that one happens to be the USB. So yeah, I think this idea should work pretty nicely. Once again, just good old Inkscape to the rescue. Couple quick measurements, you throw it in there, and then threw it out on the laser. So you can see, well, I moved that obviously, but you know, throw it on the laser and cut it out real quick. No big deal. That worked pretty slick. ShopDog says it's about time we're in the shop. You know, this is where all the sausages are. So they're just kind of unpacking a few things, going through a few things, and then I am going to catch them up with what's been done while they've been gone. So one of those things being a lot of the Dakota stuff, particularly for the cruise control, has been done. And you can see they're hanging down for now, because until the engine and trans are in, some of these connections don't happen. And then we've got an area to stuff them up. But one of the things we've got to find out is where we're going to mount the GPS, or the compass. The problem with these is obviously it's got to be going in a specific direction, and it's got to be hard mounted. So we're going to have to look at that. You'll note the parking brake wire has been done. All the stuff for the cruise control is inside here, has been done, rewired to do things the way I want them. Now these are the 2 connectors that come from it, and then the unit's already been modified and is now sitting in here. So here's the unit. All the switches have been set. The harness has been modified to work the way I want it. The connectors on it will go through this connection and then plug into those 2 down there. So that was kind of nice, having our own fuses and everything. Yeah, I'm real happy with how close we are to done with all of this. Now this GSS 3000, we don't need this. This is nice because now the Dakota will tell you what gear you're in, just like in the Impala. I didn't need it, but it's nice to have. So And we're, of course, because we're on a Dakota setup, all I need is the one wire over to gear on the main controller, and then these three go to a pot that is mounted on the transmission. You've seen me do it in other videos if you've really been paying attention. They used to be called the GSS 2000, now they're called the GSS 3000. I don't know any difference, it's irrelevant. All it is just a pot, and then you program it so that it knows, you know, you put it in park, you know, because this will be attached to your linkage up on the side of the transmission. In fact, it'll be on a plate mounted across these two bottom bolts. It'll be right about here-ish, and then it'll have a linkage rod going over here, and then, you know, in park it's going to sit here and be one resistance, and then as you go down to low, it'll be that resistance. It's totally programmable. It's really handy. I like them because there's something about having that visual indicator as you change gears on here that is reassuring because of modern vehicles. It's really nice here though, because he does have the shift indicator, but you know, just a nice little feature. And it does have backup lights and safety switch stuff, but since we have a factory setup, that's what we wired in and used. Yeah, so that's part of what got done while they've been working. One thing I noticed on the table over here is an antenna adapter. Very common thing for GM radios. It's figuring out which one's the one you need. I think we'll be able to get away with the cheaper one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Ooh, look at all these knobs and stuff.
So these are for guitars.
Oh, you went for, yeah, the shaft knobs.
They were 1/4 inch. They had the Allen key on it. Figured got them in a couple of different finishes. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, figure out for the dimmer.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got the nice bumpers.
Yeah, we'll see which one fits. You know, I'm thinking.
Or which is close.
Yeah.
Remember, they wear in pretty quick.
There's one of these that fit pretty well. I think that's it. We'll have to cut it down a bit, but you know, Menard's special.
Hey, got to work with what we got and some screws. So yeah, we're going to get to work. We will let you know when something interesting is going on. We were just kind of looking at this going, wait a minute, something don't seem right when we were trying to test that. So he just threw a hinge on real quick. And yeah, it does actually just stick up here. So we're going to correct for that. We don't like that. He's pulling that apart. And what I've got is 2 layers of this, a mock-up of our little dividers. And then I got the cup holders taped down and our power ports. So in a minute, we're going to verify that all this actually fits the way we think it does. For starters, I'm going to have to cut down my little dividers. I may have made those too wide, but that's okay. Okay, considering this is our very first go-to, I would check the fridge for a beer. And we just learned something about back in here that we're going to have to deal with, but I think this idea, and of course we're going to window in here where the bumpers are. You can see on the original that it had bumper extensions, but it goes really thin. So we're going to have to do something similar. And I will just cut out windows there because I want the rigidity.
So don't drink and drive.
But we're not driving.
Test purposes only.
Look at that. Oh my God. And then make it that nice black fun pattern. Mm-hmm. And of course a piece here like that. So yeah, this looks really, really nice. And that's not secured with anything yet. So we're adding a lot of weight and bending our wood, but that's fine. Plenty of room. A Play-Doh science here. We use the factory thing because one of the things we want to know, and I'm sure it's going to be difficult for you guys to see, is that compass module needs to be mounted a specific way. So it's going to be literally mounted right under where the lock mechanism would have been and not be an issue at all. Need to go get a cup. Oh, look at this. Look what I got.
A fancy one.
A beer cup with no beer in it because don't drink and drive.
Oh, hang on. Technical failure here.
What's that? Oh, you didn't put your bolts in.
I didn't put it in far enough.
I put 2 bolts in because sliders. All right, so we just got the seats kind of tacked in place to make sure we're happy with the way this all sits. We don't even have the insert in, nothing screwed down. We're just making sure that all this actually lines up nice. And I'm going to tell you, this actually lines up really, really nice.
Don't have a phone. But yeah, right there.
Yeah, and then our screen here. Yep. God, this is going to be so nice.
Yeah.
That we now know exactly what we like and don't like here. We're going to narrow these up a little bit. These will probably slide. Some of this will move a little bit to be a little better balanced, but that's going to work great. I also want to experiment and see if it's even possible for me to line it up just right between 3D printing and lasering to use the hinge, because if we could, it sure would make this rear very sturdy. So we will look at that. That original magnet idea we had, I don't think it's going to work the way we had hoped. I don't think it'll be strong enough. So if we can locate the hinge point and, you know, obviously let gravity or maybe a little spring clip or something do the other port, that sure would be nice. Okay, starting to look at that. And of course we did add a knob here. So there's our dimmer knob hidden away for the Dakota Digital Dash. I'm going to go cut something out of wood real quick and see how are we going to attach something here. Been thinking about that for a long time and don't have an answer yet. Okay, that simple shape right there is what I measured out. So we're just cutting on the laser. You see it won't take long, about 50 seconds for what we're cutting. So we'll take a look in just a minute. Okay, she just finished. Wait for her to cool down, which, you know, takes forever for some reason. Okay, so now let's pop this out. I usually have a piece of tape sitting here for this. Yeah, we can do that. I am not left-handed, so extra points if you get the Princess Bride joke there. But we're going to take that in. And I know it looks square, but it isn't. You know, it's 7.75 at the bottom, 8 at the top. And then I'll go and bevel that top on the grinder, and we will see if that's pretty close to fitting. Okay, so I think that actually fits pretty good even without the beveling. That fits nice. The hard part I have is, how are we going to mount this? Because one of the big issues with this is that these two screws go into the dash. That's our hard mount location. And then this will be over them. As you can see, well, crap. There we go. So as that goes in, you can see there's a giant gap there. So I just got to think what I can do. I mean, I have access to this hole. I gotta keep thinking on this for a little bit. People, here's what I'm thinking. I just ground that down a little bit, probably too much, just so I could get a feel. And maybe what we do is have these two bottom ones come down solid here. Do a counter bore here to put our black screws in that you won't notice too much. And then I can use this hole, 3D print something or build something to provide structure. Get the acrylic on here that looks nice, have some structure in the back, and then we can get our switches for the Dakota. They've been following the whole SEM process on this guy with all the different layers and everything it's got to do. So hopefully this turns out really, really nice. Hey, ShopDog reminded me that we haven't told the people anything for a while. So Diesel's getting ready to start hanging the rear door cards. Pixie's been over there working in a painting and prepping with the plastic. And Diesel also cut down, because we just can't buy these. We can't buy the right bumper. So he modified one to work. I don't know if he's planning to put one on this side or not. It doesn't look like there was one, though.
Yeah, we can't find evidence that
there's no evidence that it was ever installed. So, yeah, there might have been one of those where they could have put it in if they wanted to and they didn't. Or maybe a feature we don't have. But you can see, and remember, this has been very sun damaged. I mean, there's nothing you can do with this old plastic. So, yeah, that's what he cut down. But at least now, it looks a lot nicer than it did. The other thing that we did
here, hang on, I'll show you this
Well, okay. I gotta act like I'm a cameraman or something.
Yeah, let me get this out and I'll show you what it looks like.
Okay. While he's pulling that out, we can see that Pixie's also doing like house stuff. Because
I got my paint booth, so I might as well.
well, yeah, that's what it's for. All right, so this door card and that door card can go back on. We haven't decided on the front ones yet, but there, that's how that winds up looking. And honestly, once the seat's there, you won't even
never see
notice.
it.
But unfortunately, the factory ones are just not obtainable. So he spent a bunch of time stinking it up in here, modifying that to work. Now, while he was doing that, we've been looking at that plate on the ashtray location, and we went ahead and ordered some seat heaters that will have little round knobs that I'll eventually find. So now I know the dimensions and setup for mounting the knobs. So yeah, here. Summit, yeah, let me look down at the keyboard for a second here. You guys don't need all that. Okay, so when you come here and I click on it, so this will be our little round knobs. And then originally I was going to do switch 1, switch 2 with a square momentary, but instead I will get a version of this knob, or at least a round one like this, that isn't labeled. We don't like that. So we will continue working with that, and that will come out pretty nice. So, oh, he's actually installing it even. Oh, that's gonna look so good. Yeah, and then obviously those aren't normally there, but we've got that all sorted. I know exactly how I'm mounting that.
Watch this.
Okay, we took the plastic off because where an old vacuum pod had been mounted, we had to knock that down a little bit. So a couple hammers, well, one's a hammer, one's a dolly. Finally got her pretty flat. So you can see this profile actually is a pretty good fit. So I don't think I'm going to have to make much change to that. And this, of course, we're going to cut out of that really nice black. And this will just get epoxied down. There's no reason to go too crazy there. We're not going to worry about that, you know, because this and this will still have the black. And, of course, this part has the black. And then this is the fancy acrylic. And then the top piece will be the fancy acrylic. We think it's going to give it a really nice effect. Okay, and in reality, this always happens. You order something, and it seems like it's the right one, but it isn't. Those don't fit. He needs those angled ones. So we found the correct part number. He'll get those on order this week. But you can see, look how shallow those are and the funky angle they're at. This is also listed for a 66 in the back seat, but not for a Catalina 4-door wagon. Always, aftermarket garbage is garbage. Look at that retainer clip versus a factory clip. Totally different. Real twist of aftermarket is garbage. Look, see how that one slides on nice?
Nice and snug.
Now, let's try it with the aftermarket piece. See how it doesn't slide on? God, this OPGI, classic, whatever, this stuff's all garbage. Uh-oh. She's talking to Andy. Doesn't know where her window crank is. Just trying to get there. And he's working out the last screws on this door panel. ShopDog is getting a little fat on some sausages in here. And maybe a peanut butter cookie or two. Oh, maybe even a peanut butter pretzel or two. But either which way, we now have rear door panels. We have solved a lot of console problems, so I know how I want to address building them. I've got some how to build them things to work out, but I know what I want to do. And now we can put windows up and down, which is always kind of nice. Yeah, brand new felties are always a little stiff. And the doors work. You can open them. So, unfortunately, he did order the wrong ashtray. That's the problem with catalogs, is sometimes things, it says it's the right thing, and it's not. It would have been if this wasn't this car. But you can see, you know, this has that little torque to it and the depth issue. You know, the new one is way too deep. But if this was a convertible and that was in the little shelf panel on the side, it would fit. So, anyway, it turns out those are available, so we can get some on order. It's not the end of the world. They're pretty easy to pop in. Yeah, you're not even smoking.
Those cigarettes. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so we know where we're going to mount the compass. And that means I can go ahead and get the air temp sensor mounted the way I like it. So that will probably be right up in here. So it's out of the way. And we'll get that routed and get that mounted down. And let's see, I will continue working on the console stuff. And we have a massive amount of snow coming tomorrow, which sucks because tomorrow's a day off. So now I get to spend it moving snow, which is a shame because right now it's like 40 degrees and gorgeous. A little bit of wind, but you know, for this time of year, it's awful nice out. Yes, turn the water off when it gets cold. So, yeah, ShopDog says this is pretty nice. Oh yeah, all the snow's really melted down. But yeah, there's 1.5 feet of snow coming tomorrow, they say, so that's gonna be fun. Anyway, I think that's gonna wrap up a Pontiac video for the week. At this point, I don't have anything else to show you. So, hey Diesel, what do we say?
Thanks for watching.